Get ready for an unfair advantage over your competition. This is the Sales Edge podcast, where globally recognized sales expert and trainer Joe Pici helps you sharpen your skills for booking more appointments and closing more deals. And now, here's your host, Joe Pici.
Hey team, welcome back to the Sales Edge. We want to tell you how excited we are about your loyalty and how you're helping us grow this podcast so we can help more people. The Sales Edge is sponsored by Pici and Pici. Pici and Pici is a speaking, training, coaching, consulting company that specializes in helping their clients take their business, their careers to the next level, gain an unfair advantage over the competition, granularly help to get them in front of their target market where they can increase their closing ratios, increasing their bottom line. You know, we want you to feel so comfortable about picking up the phone and just grabbing a complimentary cup of Joe. 407-947-2590. You may want to complain about the podcast or disagree. I'm okay with that. You may want to give a suggestion and say, Joe, is it in your wheelhouse to speak on this? If it is, I will, and if not, I'll tell you. Maybe make a suggestion or just flat out have a cup of Joe and let's get to know each other. You know, we are now on podcast number 57. That's hard to believe. And this is going to be a two-part in which we're going to cover a very important lead generation topic, which is networking for leads. Now, there's a lot of networking out there, you know, and let me give you a definition on what networking is. Networking is the action or process of interacting with others to exchange information and develop professional and social contacts. It's also the cultivation of productive relationships for employment or business. It is an event that is designed to provide new business collaboration. So when you look at networking, and there's a lot of different types of networking that we'll get into, but specifically what we use networking for is to further our lead generation. It's one of the 18 ways we generate leads. Let me give you some of the types of networking that are available. There's more, but there's some. Of course, you have your meetups. Meetups are free. They have them before hours, during hours, or after hours. And they're very specific. They have meetups for business, meetup for dog lovers. I mean, and you can just Google it. There's chambers of commerce. And these are huge organizations, and they're really very effective if you choose the right one. You know, there are leads groups, and leads groups come from the word prospect leads groups. And these are groups like BNI and free ones and leads groups that come off of a chamber. These are smaller versions of a chamber, maybe anywhere from 8 to 20, and where people get together. Sometimes they're industry specific, which means there's one of each profession. You might have one property and casualty insurance person. You may have one commercial real estate person. These can be open and they can be very defined and refined and very exact. There are mastermind groups, and that's where whatever that industry is or that type of thing, maybe CEO masterminds or business owner masterminds. These are where very specific niched group of people get together. They share ideas. They maybe cross-ventilate, maybe do cross-business. There are fundraisers. This is a great place to find, to do networking because people who go to fundraisers usually, quite frankly, have a few bucks in their pocket and they're willing to spend. There are business conferences. These are great places to network. There are trade shows. And once again, you want to be specific about targeting those. There are industry-specific associations. There's professional associations. There are community service groups. It's endless. I mean, if you type in networking in Google networking, you can find just about any specific type of networking organization you're looking for. That's a positive. It can be a negative as we go on. Today, we're going to discuss the type of groups that you can network are that are more flavored as a Chamber of Commerce or a leads group. So we're going to be very specific in that these are the type of groups we're going to teach you, give you some ideas on. And like I said, this is a two-parter. In the second part, we will do some of the tactical things you do. How do you exchange business cards? Some of the gritty things of, how you don't look like a Mr. Green Jeans. To start, we need to decide, why are we joining? I mean, when Dawn and I decide to join a networking group, we are very specific. I look at, why am I going to this, okay? What is my specific intent? So I ask you that question. If you're going to invest time and maybe even money, what is the specific intent, which means what are you looking for back? Here are some benefits of networking. Number one, new contacts. The most important benefit of networking is to meet potential clients. This is where you can find people that need your product or service. Also, the potential of maybe joint ventures, strategic alliances. I've seen people find partners. But specifically for us, when we join a networking group, specifically, we're looking to increase our client base. Number two, the potential for referrals. When you join a networking group, and this doesn't happen right away, the number two intent you're looking for, or I'm looking for, is possible referrals. Now, I will caution, that's the great thing. Let me tell you a trap you could fall into. Do not recommend or give a referral unless you truly trust that other person can deliver above and beyond to the person you're referring to. If you're going to refer somebody to your client, make sure the person you're referring can do the job and do it well, because it's going to reflect on your brand. Number three, it's a brand expander. It gives you great visibility. It's a way to grow and build that brand. And I can tell you that brand development is huge. Many years ago now, we hired a coach and flew to Dallas, and he looked over everything we were doing. And the guy is a big name coach. He's coached big time people. And he looked at what we had done. He had actually seen Dawn and I speak and train. And he said, you guys have a great product, a great service. You have a great delivery. He said, Joe, you are very, very, very polished when it comes to picking up the phone, bringing the right people to the table. And he's going on and on and on. I said, yeah, but. He said, Joe, the rest of your life is going to be brand expansion and lead generation. So what I'm looking for, the number three thing I'm looking for in investing my time and money in a networking event is this going to grow my brand? Is this going to get me greater visibility? Will this get me into a target market? So let's go to number four. Number four, it keeps you current. I mean, absolutely. You can keep up with the conditions of business. You see where the market's going. By listening to what people are saying and watching, you're really starting to figure out where things are going. It's a key way to keep up with change that might be coming. It's a key way to see where industry trends are going. It's a key way to know what's going on with your target market. So that is the number four thing that I see as a benefit to networking is staying current in the marketplace. Number five, problem solving. You're going to meet people, you develop a relationship that can solve problems for you. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've gone to a networking event and built a relationship with somebody, and maybe they were a roofer and I needed a roof. I remember years ago we needed somebody to pressure clean our house. And I met this guy and I started to trust him and found out that he and his son had a pressure cleaning business. And it was just so easy to hire him. Okay? So I think that's so I think when you get into a networking event, you start building relationships with people and you find vendors for what you're doing, maybe a copywriter, okay? I have a client that's a professional copywriter, and he's sitting next to a guy in our sales boot camp, and I just found out that's 1 week ago that this guy is hiring him to do copywriting for him. Networking is powerful. I think we're on number 6, knowledge and experience. Associating with other business people expands your knowledge. You just grow. You learn things. By closing your mouth and opening your ears, you're going to get tremendous information that's going to help you grow as a person. You're going to hear things that you wouldn't have heard sitting in your office. So I think the whole personal growth, this is one of the, if you remember some of my podcasts dealing with personal growth and the importance of association, when business people associate with business people, the phenomena of personal growth is just, it's right there. It's going to happen. Number 7 is you're going to gain confidence. By networking and having to meet new people, having to stick out your hand and shake hands to a stranger and learning, and we'll be dealing with this in podcast number 58, but the whole idea of opening up with a value proposition is going to raise confidence. And then there's another one here, and number 8. There's other ones. It's not always about money. You're going to develop some new friendships. And you just can't help it. There's going to be people that you're going to relate to, that you're going to, you'll wind up doing things outside of business with them. You'll just pick up some good friends. Now, those are some of the benefits. But for every benefit, there's always the good, the bad, and the ugly. There are some downside to this. And again, the way you view it, you have to measure, is it worth it? So let's look at some of the negative aspects of networking. Number 1, if there are high fees involved. Some groups have high fees. And I'm not saying that's good or bad. I'm just saying some groups have high fees. Make sure you're getting your return on investment, just like any other investment you would make. I mean, if you were investing in a website, if you were investing in anything. I talked to a guy this morning. He was talking about his son investing in the stock market and, and what he was looking for, a return on investment. Do you have a return on investment do you measure it? Do you measure what is my return on my fees that I'm paying? So you want to measure over time, is my financial investment, am I making it back? Number 2, bad referrals. Wait a minute, Joe. You mean you get bad referrals? Of course you do. Why? Some groups mandate as part of the entry point that you're going to have to bring in referrals consistently, maybe even weekly. And that's not bad. That's not a bad thing. However, if that's part of a person's induction, sometimes you're going to be forced at the last minute to bring in a bad referral. Now, they're not trying to hurt anybody, but a bad referral costs you time. You can't get time back. Whenever you get a bad referral thinking it's a good referral, you put the same amount of time into trying to sit down with that person. So a bad referral can cost you a lot of time. So you have to really look at that. Number 3, unmotivated members or unmotivated culture. When you walk into this event, is there fire in their belly? Is there fire in their eyes? Are these people really growing a business? Or is it just somewhere that they might want to have lunch? Is their boss making them go? Are these motivated people? Is this a motivated culture? Is this networking group growing or going? So is this a growing entity? Is this a group that's on the rise? Are the people in there to do business? Are they excited about what they're doing? You want to ask yourself, then, what is the leader's motivation of putting this group together? What's behind it for the leader? What's in it for them? Now, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying you always want to know what's in it for the people you're talking to. And number 4, it's very time-consuming. Now, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but you better be aware, to get the most out of a networking organization, you have to invest time. And it can be very time-consuming. So I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it can be a downside if you're not careful. How can it be a downside? If you choose the wrong group. Because if you're going to spend time, and if it's in the wrong, and in the next podcast, we're going to talk to you about how to pick the right group. So when you look at those 4 challenges, you say, well, I do have to be intentional. When we get into the next podcast, which will be 58, we're going to discuss with you some of the tactics and skills and strategies, so how you can make money with your membership. Got it? You want to make money with your membership. Now, a couple things in a way of announcements. Of course, you know what's coming. Sometime late December, early January, we're going to be featuring Heroes of Transition. These are those people in the hunt. These are not always celebrities. These are people that are just like you and me. They're out there just working to grow something. They've had transition. They've had change. They've had whatever, and they're in the hunt. We're going to be featuring them. We're going to have 2 a month on. Be aware, one of you may be called. If you're interested, if you would like to even be considered for this show, would you contact me? Would you email me at joe@piciandpici.com? I'm sorry, piciandpici.com. Would you also maybe even give me a call and say, Joe, I would be excited to be on that show to talk about my transition. You see, your transition can inspire another person to transition, to take that next step. And then here's another thing. What are your 3 biggest challenges right now as we move forward in the next 59 days to 2020? So this has been Joe Pici. Take out your phone, type in 55678. In the message, put Sales Edge, one word. Hit send, it'll take you to a link. Hit the link, that'll take you to a splash page. On the splash page are 2 free ebook downloads that you can have, one on LinkedIn, one on sales, okay? The other thing, if you scroll further down, there's some video. Scroll further down, there are podcast links. Please, if you can help us out, if this is valuable to you, can you like it? Can you share it? Can you write a comment on that podcast? But also, can you share it with your friends and help us to grow this podcast? One more thing, if you don't mind. I've been again involved in the Global Gurus. I'm one of the applicants, so to speak, or people that are being considered again. This year I'm number 3, and we have a goal to move up. And so if you would go to globalgurus.org, go to the sales voting section, you'll see my picture, and just vote. I would certainly appreciate a vote. I would love, before it's over, for Pici and Pici to hit that number 1 spot. But anyway, thanks for tuning in. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening. New episodes will air each Tuesday and Thursday, so make sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and give us a 5-star review. The Sales Edge is sponsored by Pici and Pici Incorporated, a firm which provides training, consulting, and keynote presentations, empowering corporations and individuals to attract and retain quality clients for higher revenues and growth. Make more money in sales. Speak with Joe in person by calling 407-947-2590 or visit www.piciandpici.com. Spelled PICIAND, PICI.com.